Chris Stevens.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Let me congratulate the honourable member for Stoke-on-Trent Central on her maiden speech. Her passion for Stoke-on-Trent was noted, and indeed I look forward to debating with her how we get the high streets and main streets in the UK thriving again. I would perhaps gently suggest to her that gentle encouragement of the government doesn't always work, and perhaps sometimes a good kick is required, as I have tried to do in my time here. I want to congratulate all those so far, Mr Deputy Speaker, on their maiden speeches, but particularly it was a pleasure to listen to my good friends, the honourable member for Gordon, who I've known for over 20 years, and his maiden speech. And he reminded us that this is a government who can't run a bong in a brewery. And I think that that's something that the governments will, that will find as we test the government over the next few years. Mr Deputy Speaker, I want to thank the good people of Glasgow South West for sending me back here on an increased majority and an increased mandate. It does go to show that positive campaigns can win. But today's debate was marked somewhat with a sense of déjà vu. There were backbench MPs calling those of us on this side Marxists. I hadn't heard that for at least 6 weeks. We had opposition MPs rightly being treated terribly. The groans when the 1950s-born woman was mentioned, I thought, was pretty disgraceful from government backbenchers, and I think that the government really do need to address that injustice. But we're treated to a speech by the Chancellor, which I can only suggest was a masterclass in Tory buzzword bingo, of which all these buzz phrases were used, rolled into sentences and paragraphs. And I was tempted on 3 occasions, Mr Deputy Speaker, to shout "House" as we were hearing his address. But the Queen's speech is marked, more than anything else, by what's not in the Queen's speech rather than its contents. And it was very interesting that the Chancellor did not mention how the government intends to tackle tax avoidance. And because let's remind ourselves, in the intervention I made on the Shadow Chancellor, the current figures in HMRC's wealthy unit, whose responsibility is to chase tax avoidance of the richest in our society. 18 months ago, there were 1,046 full-time equivalent posts in that particular unit. Today, there are now 961. Now, why have 80 full-time equivalent posts disappeared when we have a widening tax gap? Why is it the case? Is it perhaps a recruitment crisis? If it's a recruitment crisis, then perhaps we need to look at public sector pay, and perhaps that the job needs to attract more people going into that particular unit. Or is it the terms and conditions? If there is, then they should be negotiating that with the trade unions. Or are we seeing the unravelling of the HMRC Building Our Future programme, where all the assurances we were given that jobs would be protected in HMRC are not being delivered, as HMRC staff are being asked on some occasions to travel more than 100 miles to go to their new workplace. Now, the Chancellor did talk about deregulation in his address, but there is, of course, one sector of which there is regulation pursued quite rigorously, and that is, of course, the trade union movement. And I think it's rather dangerous of the government now to pursue and to attack the right to withdraw one's labour. The right to withdraw one's labour is a human right, and I think to try and interfere with the right to strike is a dangerous one. And it's perhaps no coincidence that they're targeting the transport unions. Why is that the case? Perhaps it's because they are well organised and the government's trying to reduce their collective bargaining power. Now, the government have a proposed employment bill. I will be reintroducing again, Mr Deputy Speaker, my Works, Rights and Definitions Bill. We do need to tackle the scandal of zero-hour contracts in this country. We do need to tackle, as the member for Leeds West and the member for Birmingham Erdington said, we do need to tackle shift changes at last moment, and we do need to simplify the status of a worker. It's unacceptable for someone to turn up at their workplace thinking they have an 8-hour shift, to be told, no, you now only have a 4-hour shift, or to be told, we no longer need you that day. Those individuals will have paid out childcare costs, transport costs to get to their work, only to be told that that changes. Or indeed, people to turn up to their work being told they have a 5-hour shift, to be told they have a 10-hour shift. And for those who think that zero-hour contracts are voluntary, then perhaps we need to tackle the universal credit sanctions regime, which allows for someone who has given up a zero-hour contract job or refused a zero-hour contract job can be sanctioned under universal credit. And we do need to, where I would question is, where is the social security bill to fix a broken social security system? It is unacceptable that people have to wait 5 weeks to get their initial benefit. The DWP Select Committee, of which I was a member, recommended that we should abolish the two-child limit on tax credits. These are the very real challenges facing people on a daily basis as they try and navigate their way through the social security system. And new members will find that their caseworkers and their consultancy offices will be flooded with cases in relation to to universal credit problems and people trying to get state benefit that they are entitled to. Mr Deputy Speaker, I will be opposing the gracious address today. It does not, in my view, address the real needs of the country. It does not address the needs of the poor and most vulnerable, and that's why I will be opposing them today. Thank you.